Hello and welcome to this day in history for December 12th. December 12th is the 346th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 19 days remaining until the end of the year. It'll be here before you know it. Today's word is Xeric, and it can be pronounced Xeric or Xeric, either way. It's an adjective which means relating to very dry conditions or being deficient in moisture, as in deserts provide xeric environments. Comes from the Greek word xeros, which means dry, and its earliest documented use is 1926. And one more thing before we get started, I want to mention that if you ever wonder where I get my information that I share with you in these episodes, links to my research are included in the show notes. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1531. Now today, December 12th, is the feast day for the Virgin of Guadalupe. And the basis for that is that in Mexico on this day in 1531, an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared to Juan Diego in the form of a young woman. Now, she had already appeared to him 3 times previously in the last few days. I think I mentioned it on the 9th when she first appeared to him. On this day, however, Juan Diego was very worried about his uncle who had fallen ill and was not doing well. His uncle Juan Bernardino was doing so poorly, in fact, that the priest had been called to administer last rites. This was what was on the mind of Juan Diego when he encountered the young woman for the 4th time on this day. She told him, though, that his uncle had fully recovered and instructed him to gather flowers from the top of the Tepeyac hill, which was normally barren, especially in the cold of December. Juan followed her instructions and he found Castilian roses, not native to Mexico, blooming there. The Virgin arranged the flowers in Juan's tilma, or cloak, and when Juan Diego opened his cloak before the Archbishop Zumárraga on December 12th, the flowers fell to the floor, and on the fabric was the image of the Virgin of Guadalupe. The next day, on December 13, Juan Diego discovered that his uncle had in fact fully recovered, just as the Virgin had assured him. In 1787, Pennsylvania ratified the Constitution. They were the second state to ratify the Constitution by a vote of 46 to 23. They were the first large state to ratify, as well as the first state to endure a serious anti-federalist challenge to ratification. 1805, American businessman Henry Wells was born on this day, and he is most notable for having founded Wells Fargo and American Express. He lived to the age of 72. 1881, Polish-American businessman and co-founder of Warner Brothers, Harry Warner, was born on this day in 1881. He lived to the age of 76. 1893, American actor Edward G. Robinson was born on this day in 1893. He lived to the age of 79. 1901, Italian physicist and radio pioneer Guglielmo Marconi succeeded in sending the first radio transmission across the Atlantic Ocean, disproving detractors who told him that the curvature of the Earth would limit transmission to 200 miles or less. The message, simply the Morse code signal for the letter S, traveled more than 2,000 miles from Poldhu in Cornwall, England, to Newfoundland, Canada. 1913. The stolen Mona Lisa was recovered in Florence. 2 years after it was stolen from the Louvre Museum in Paris, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, the Mona Lisa, was recovered inside Italian waiter Vincenzo Perugia's hotel room in Florence. Perugia had previously worked at the Louvre and had participated in the heist with a group of accomplices dressed as Louvre janitors on the morning of August 21, 1911. American singer, actor, and producer Frank Sinatra was born on this day in 1915. Great singer. I like the Sinatra channel on Sirius XM. Old Blue Eyes lived to the age of 82. 1917, in Nebraska, Father Edward J. Flanagan founded Boys Town as a farm village for wayward boys. 1923, American game show host and producer Bob Barker was born on this day. As I record this in 2019, he's still alive. He turns 95 today. Happy birthday, Bob Barker. 1940, this is the birthday of American singer and television personality Dionne Warwick. She turns 79 today. 1963, Kenya declared independence from Britain. 1963, the JFK Memorial Album set records for sales. On December 12, 1963, a vinyl long-playing record called John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a Memorial Album, set a record for album sales. A total of 4 million copies sold in the first 6 days of its release. 1965, NFL rookie Gale Sayers tied the single-game touchdown record. He scored 6 touchdowns during a single game against San Francisco 49ers at Chicago's Wrigley Field, tying the National Football League record for most touchdowns in a single game. Sayers is also well known for his close friendship with his fellow Bears halfback Brian Piccolo, who motivated Sayers through rehabilitation after his first knee injury and who died in 1970 after a struggle with cancer. The 1971 TV movie Brian's Song, a sentimental favorite for many, was adapted from Sayers' memoir, I Am Third. In 1977, the 34-year-old Sayers became the youngest player ever to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 1967, the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner opened in theaters. This was a groundbreaking movie about an interracial romantic relationship starring Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier, and Catherine Houghton. 1970, the song Tears of a Clown gave Smokey Robinson and the Miracles their first #1 pop hit, and I've placed a link to a video of them performing that song in the show notes. On December 12, 1980, American oil tycoon Armand Hammer paid $5,126,000 at auction for a notebook containing writings by the legendary artist Leonardo da Vinci. He has since then passed away. There was some litigation over his estate, and ultimately that notebook has ended up with Bill Gates, who loans it out to museums. 1989, real estate mogul Leona Helmsley was sentenced to prison. Nicknamed the Queen of Mean by the press, she received a 4-year prison sentence, 750 hours of community service, and a $7.1 million tax fraud fine in New York. For many, Helmsley became the object of loathing and disgust when she quipped that only the little people pay taxes. Leona's husband, Harry, was one of the world's wealthiest real estate moguls with an estimated $5 to $10 billion in property holdings. They lived in a dazzling penthouse overlooking Central Park and also maintained an impressive mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Leona, who operated the Helmsley Palace on Madison Avenue, was severely disliked by her employees. Remember that her nickname is the Queen of Mean. Though they lavishly furnished their homes and hotel, the Helmsleys were curiously diligent about evading the required payments and taxes for their purchases. Much of their personal furniture was written off as business expense, and there were claims that the Helmsleys extorted free furnishings from their suppliers. Contractors were hardly ever paid on time, if at all, and many filed lawsuits to recover even just a portion of what they were owed. Leona reportedly also purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars in jewelry in New York City, but insisted that empty boxes be sent to Connecticut so that she could avoid the sales tax. What a chick. Given her offensive personality, many were quite pleased by Leona's legal troubles. Even celebrity lawyer Alan Dershowitz could not win her immunity from the law. Following her conviction, federal judge John Walker publicly reprimanded her, saying, "Your conduct was the product of naked greed and the arrogant belief that you were above the law." Leona Helmsley was sent to jail in 1992 and was released in 1994. In 2002, Helmsley, whose husband Harry died in 1997, again found herself in court after being sued by Charles Bell, a former employee who accused Leona of firing him solely because he was homosexual. A jury ordered Helmsley to pay him more than $11 million in damages. Helmsley died in August of 2007 at the age of 87 and famously left $12 million to her dog Trouble. And I think that's going to be about enough for today. As always, as I said before, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and feel free to share. And while you're here, check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. There's a link to that in the show notes also. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. Okie dokie, Smokey. Let's just rearrange that a little bit. That's a lot of words. Sometimes when you read the words, it's not quite enough if you haven't put enough words in there to begin with. That's not the way I like to tell it anyway. We don't need all those words. Hope I pronounced that right.
Your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please.
Thank goodness for editing. So many edits. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? She's not a man. Did I do this whole thing without a microphone? Dadgummit. This is why I don't do live shows.